The day, July 12th, 2021. The announcement, HullBreacher banned in Commander. Now I'm here today to talk about the impact on cEDH of that announcement. I'm going to cut right to the chase though. From the very start, I'm so happy that this card is no longer in this format. When I was playing the Mean 16 and that card just came out, we were averaging like 3 HullBreachers a game, and it was just exhausting. The card is just so... The play patterns were not fun. They were not entertaining. I didn't feel like anyone who was resolving a HullBreacher was like earning a win in a game. It really shut down a lot of diversity in the format, because a lot of the sort of like tier 2, tier 3 decks in the format are, you know, relying on commanders that like generate a healthy amount of card advantage, and then it would just be the HullBreacher and minimal effort. You could get it down as easily as turn 1 with a crypt, and this minimal effort card would just win a game out of nowhere and really not require any skill to do so. Now, you could say the same thing about Opposition Agent, but I think that card can slow down a game significantly, but it doesn't have the A plus B wheel combo that HullBreacher has. I mean, it has technically Marilyn, but that's definitely not the card quality level of a HullBreacher plus wheel combo. So all in all, very happy the card is banned, very happy to see it out of the format. There's a couple major things that happen because of this. The first thing to see is better performances out of these tier 2, tier 3 commander decks. They really get pushed. For me personally, my Pirates, Thieves, Scallywags, and Scoundrels list is probably just dead, because the idea was that you didn't need white to be an Opus Thief deck because of HullBreacher's existence. So I can keep trying to play that deck the way it was, but HullBreacher was the best card in the deck by far, and kind of was the reason I built the deck in the first place. So there is a solid chance I ask the database people to pull the deck down, because it's not fair to completely change a deck and then just have it already up there on the database. I'll at least talk with them and see what they find to be appropriate. Peer into the Abyss. I have been absolutely dunking on that card for the past couple months since HullBreacher's printing. The card becomes good again, and yeah, you can still hit it with a deflecting swat, yeah, you can still hit it with counter magic, but HullBreacher was like one of the most pervasive threats in the format, and I never resolved the Peer into the Abyss after HullBreacher's printing. So for a while I was just like, Peer into the Abyss is much worse because HullBreacher exists, so therefore now the inverse, it happens because that card is banned. I think a lot of decks like Thrasios are just getting a strict upgrade by that card no longer being in the format. Wheels are less just suicidal nowadays. Like, you're not just playing a wheel into someone's HullBreacher all the time in a ton of different games. It's kind of a relief to have that not happening anymore, and it's nice to have wheels go back to the thing they were meant to be doing. And yes, Notion Thief still exists, don't get me wrong. Opus Thief as a deck still existed way before HullBreacher, but that was an extreme case. Now we have a lot of situations where, you know, aggressive decks can go back to playing wheels and not feel like they immediately get punished. And I'm not talking about decks like Grixis Ad Nauseam. I'm talking more decks like Godo or low color decks playing red. Like, they can go back to playing Wheel of Fortune and not feel like garbage about it because HullBreacher is gone, and I'm grateful for that. I really did not like HullBreacher, if that isn't abundantly clear. It was just a card that I felt led to super unfun play patterns. It was a card that I felt like, no, don't get me wrong, it was with the power level of what some of the stuff we were doing, but it was very high power level for something printed within the recent couple months, and it was just exhausting to play against. I never enjoyed games that were ended by a HullBreacher just because it just did that one thing, and it didn't do it in a fun way. Now, like, I have to admit, HullBreacher plus Burning Inquiry was fun, but that was more because I made Burning Inquiry playable, not because HullBreacher existed. The fact that HullBreacher was a cheaper Notion Thief that beat Notion Thief, I think, like, that alone rings alarm bells and definitely is a point of concern. So HullBreacher being on, great thing, super happy to see it. Tymna does get a little better, unfortunately, which is not something Tymna needed as the S tier commander of the format, probably the best commander in all of cEDH. So that's definitely something to note. Tymna and Crom and Thrasios all get better because of this, which is definitely a notable change. But one thing this does do is makes cards like Ad Nauseam and Necropotence and Dark Confidant, like these black card draw effects that get around HullBreacher. Those cards were really premium because they got around HullBreacher. And now that's not as much of a factor, meaning that lower colored decks or colored decks that aren't playing black, like my Sans Black decks, these cards can get card advantage and card draw effects without feeling as punished as they were before. And I think that's going to lead to a lot better games. I think locking people out of draws and then resolving a wheel a turn later isn't a fun game pattern. However, when multiple mid-range decks are at the table and they're all playing spells and there's a bunch of different value engines at the table and everyone's grinding each other out of resources, and big plays and smart plays end up making big decisions because people have cards in hands, I find that way more entertaining and way more skill intensive than no one having cards in hands because someone flashed in a HullBreacher because they happen to get a mana crypt early. I think the play patterns have just gotten better because this card does not exist anymore. All in all, super happy about this change. I will not miss HullBreacher. GTFO. Goodbye. If you like videos like this, make sure to hit like and subscribe. If you want more videos like this and to be notified about them, hit that little bell icon because that'll tell you whenever we upload new videos. If you feel like going the extra mile, check us out at patreon.com/comedianmtg. Any help supports the channel a ton. And also, while I have you here, do not forget about Tier 1 Con. It is going to be the event of the year, if not one of the greatest cEDH events of all time. cEDH main event. The top 4 of this tournament are either going to split 10 revised duels, or with 250 players, the top player will get a time twister. This tournament is insane. There are side events. There are so many amazing things. If you want to learn more details about this, check out my video where I have You Can Call Me Jay, a fantastic member of the community and one of the organizers for this event and this tournament, on the show, and we break down the whole thing. So check that out and check out Tier 1 Con. It's going to be one of the biggest cEDH events of all time. So please come support it. It's amazing. And check out these amazing patrons who help keep this channel running. Thanks, everyone. Peace.